let's start it. Okay, so this session is about uh, developing a small CLI app which helps you understand how to build your first actual small app in Clojure. And this session is meant uh, for use by the people who are new to Clojure, who have learned some amount of Clojure by starting a REPL and trying out the different expressions, but who have not built any app, and for learning how to actually build an app, right? So this is a fairly basic level of uh, things that we will expect from this session. And can I ask you all to visit this web page where the source code is published? So the GitHub URL is mentioned there, github.com bangalore-clj, and the project name is web-word-count. So if you visit here, you will find the source code there. And if you could open the source code and also try to create a similar project by writing lean, new, whatever, that would be nice. Are you able to see that page now? Okay. So we will use this only for reference. We will try to create a new um, project from scratch. Okay. So for that, so the first step that you would be taking to is to identify the directory where you would be creating the project, cd into that directory, and then run the command lean new app, and then the project name, which is web. We'll call it in short word web. Sorry, web word count. It basically counts words, so it's a word count app. But it first fetches a web page from the internet, and then it counts the words on that page. That is what it does. Okay. So we'll give this command completely: lean new app web word count. Okay. And when you run this command, you will find an output like this, generating a project called web word count based on the app template. So what it did is that you all are familiar with the Lenigen command. So what it does is that Lenigen has the capability to create a new templated project. So it has different kinds of templates. It has a standard library template, an application template, and different things. So now we have created a project that is an app that can be run from the command line, right? So after we have created this, we can say that lean run, and it'll run the app. So, oh, so we still need to go into that project. So we'll have to say cd word count, and then if we say lean run, it's telling hello world. we have not yet seen what has it generated. So we'll try to see the code. So this is the directory structure of, sorry, this is the directory structure of the project that has been generated. So it has generated multiple things. The changelog file. So the changelog file is to record what all changes have happened from version to version in your project. The license file tells you the 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 the, 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 the legal license of the source code. The README file tells you about the project in general. Doc is a template documentation file. And then project.clj is your project compilation file that tells Linengine how to build a project and the different kinds of information for building the project. The sources is something that we'll ignore for now. The sources is not required. The src is the folder where where your source code is located. So if you go to src and see, it has created a folder called web word count. And if we try to see the entire directory of src, it says, oh, I don't have a free command. All right. So if we go to src, we'll see that inside src, there's a folder called web underscore word underscore count. And inside that, there's a file called core.clj, right? And we can inspect what is the content of that file. The content is just this much. So this is the only source code file in your entire project. Okay. And so it says that the namespace is web word count.core, and it says gen class, and then there's a function called dash main. And there are certain things to learn from here. What stuff we are going to do. Um, so so the namespace is a way to segregate your code into different directories. And namespace is a first class abstraction in Clojure that helps you segregate code, right? Here the namespace has two segments: the web dash word dash count dot the another segment called core. So the last segment of your namespace is always named after the file that you're editing. So this file is core.clj, and I'll show you one interesting thing, and then we'll continue here. Notice that the namespace is web dash word dash count. Okay, and when you see the tree output, it tells you that it is web underscore word underscore count. And core.clj is inside that. So your namespace organization actually sort of matches the package organization, your, your directory and then your file name organization. But there is an interesting difference that web underscore word underscore count is not the same as web dash word dash count that we saw in the namespace. Uh, so, so this little difference is because Clojure always uh, translates hyphens to underscore when actually naming the files and the directories. So your namespace may be called, so namespace is called web dash word dash count, but the actual directory name is web underscore word underscore count. And the same thing applies to your file names as well, not just the directory names. And this is an important thing to know because your file name, your file path is going to be a little different than your namespace if it has any dashes. So what if your namespace had an underscore? So in that case, also you would end up with the same file names. Um, so if you have two namespaces, one with dash and one with underscore, and the remaining things remaining the same, then the files being referred to will be the same. So that is something that we should keep in mind, right? Okay. Now we have stated the problem that what we want to do is that we will allow the user to enter the URL at the command line, and the application will simply go and fetch the web page from that URL, and it will count the words on that page. Okay. So we are talking about three different things here. The first thing is to accept the URL from the command line. So that means we need to be prepared how to read your input, your, your command line input, right? That we will start using the references. Please refer to the web page that I'd asked you to open. Uh, please go to project.clj, and in project.clj, one second, I'll just drag it to the screen so that we can all see. Right. So if you see here, there are multiple dependencies. So if you see in project.clj, has been generated that has only Clojure 1.8.0. So the first thing that we can do is to bump it up to 190 because that is the latest table. And then so I'm using Vim, but you please feel free to use any editor that you would like. So I do not have a way to escape this. So the escape key is not connected. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, so I I did that change, and now and here you can see that we have added three more dependencies. So, so the first dependency, org.clojure/tools.cli. This is a Clojure module that helps you actually parse the command line input. So command line input is linear, and to be able to deal with those in Clojure, you need to parse that and turn it into data, and that is what tools.cli does. So that is one dependency that we need to add, and that could be followed by another dependency called clj-http. Since we are accepting a URL and going to the internet to fetch the content, uh, we need an HTTP client, and that is what the CLJ-HTTP library is about. So that is one dependency that we would add, right? And we now need to count the words on an HTML page. Now, HTML page is not just text; it is a markup text, right? Uh, it is written in a markup language. That means the words that you see on the web page are not the same of the HTML content that it has, right? We need to eliminate the HTML tags and the elements so that we can arrive at the words. So we need a parser that can actually filter out the HTML noise and can give us a structure through which we can find out the actual words and then the text, right? So for HTML parsing, we would use a library called Hickory. and that is the dependency that we have added. So these three dependencies we would add to our project. So from this point on, I'll no more try to um, build my own code parallel to you. I'll try to only explain so that you can add it to your project and do the things by yourself. And if the things are not going the same for you in any way, please let me know. I'll try to answer the question. And I think I mean Amarjit or Robert can probably help as well if you're getting it. Yes. The namespaces map to the Java package names, and Java does not allow anything other than underscore as a delimiter, hence that constraint. You, you can have, so in Clojure, we don't have the underscore in our names as a standard because that is not the list style. So it's a matter of style and a matter of convention. So actually, it is the other way around. If your namespace has hyphen, then the file or the directory name will have underscore. Web dashboard. Right, right. Right. So namespace can be either underscore or dash, both will work. Because the reverse mapping is not true. When your file name is underscore, so the resolution does not happen because your file name is such, hence your namespace should be that. Yeah. So the resolution is always from the namespace to the file path. So it reads that file first, your namespace first, and then it calculates that file path. So the resolution order is that. Okay. So after adding these three dependencies, we'll look at the other files. We'll see that we organize the code in, in multiple files. So the very first uh, file is called main.clj. So it is a conventional file that we have created so that this is the first place where the program will receive the execution control. Okay? And to specify that main.clj is the place where your program execution control will arrive first, we have done that configuration in project.clj. So if you see here, uh, at line number 10 in project.clj, it says main www.c.main, right? So in your case, you should keep the namespace as the one that you have planned, right? You should uh, keep it web dash word dash count dot main. Okay. Uh, we have specified the main namespace here so that this namespace will be treated as the entry point for the application. Okay. And now we'll go into the source code and see that main. Yeah. So this is the main file. And how do you actually define that main namespace is the entry point? The main namespace could have many functions, and which function will receive the control? We don't know that, right? So there is a convention that is designed to keep it in sync with the JVM Java. It is that whenever you have such a main namespace, you need to define a function called dash main, right? And when you do a dash main, it creates a static method from that name, and you can see one more instruction, one more directive in the Dennis block saying that gen class. And gen class means that the entire namespace will actually become a Java class, a complete Java class. Uh, mm, um, in the namespaces where you do not specify gen class, what what the Clojure compiler does is that it generates multiple different class files. Means one class and an object file, no, no, not exactly file, but an object. I mean one class, an object per var, right? So here we have only one function. So if we had not said then class, then this dot main would have been one class, and the main k inside that main function would have been another class and an object. Uh, and if this uh, namespace had, let us say, 10 functions, then it would have created one for the container and 10 for the 10 functions. But when you say gen class, it generates just one class for the entire namespace, right? That's a great question. So the question is that when do we use gen class, and when is it useful, whether the developer decides, or how it happens. Uh, so so as a practice, we do gen class when we need a compatibility with Java. So in Java, uh, so in Java, uh, so so requirement for a, for 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 an application entry point is that it must be the main static method inside a class, right? If there is a new class for this, that means that that class name cannot be resolved ahead of time. Hence, the linking cannot happen because we need to specify that name, right? And that name is internal to the compiler. So we do not know that which class name would be created. Hence, we need a predictable name because that is the name of the class that will be generated, right? That is why we say that please generate this namespace as a class. Hence, wwc.main will be a class as a result of specifying then class. Okay, and inside that wwc.main class, there will be a static method called main because that is what dash main is. Yeah. It will not have a static method there. Uh, I mean that will become a private method, right? Because that is the the, the convention for dash. So whenever you give dash, so something that becomes a private, right? Private where. Uh, so so or that is definite minus. I'm forgetting that right now. Oh yeah. Right, 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 right. It'll still create a static thing. Yeah, class. Yeah. Um, you can, yeah, you can generate the bytecode and then see, or you can remove the gen class and see if it works. It will not. But So you should not be running with lean run, by the way. Lean run actually does some dynamic thing. What you should be doing is to generate an Uber jar and then try to run by saying Java minus jar so and so. Right? That is how it will tell you the real thing. Yeah, yeah. So let me show you how to create an Uber jar file. So this is the command lean do clean comma Uber jar. Please leave a space after comma, otherwise it will be complaining about the build. Uh, you can do a clean and then do Uber jar. I mean, this is safer always. I have seen many issues. I mean, many people coming, um, wondering why is their build step not working. So turns out that they did not do a clean, and hence there is something stale there, and so on. So it's always safer to do a clean and then do your build step, right? So if you run this command, so it starts generating the jar files. So it has created that file, right? Now the dash standalone dot jar file, that is the file, that is the Uber jar. Okay. The main, right? Yeah. So that is the reason, because lean run knows how to dynamically discover the main method from that namespace, because it has that information in Clj. So it dynamically discovers that. But when you leave religion out, then you are telling Java to run your jar, right? Now Java has no idea about Clojure, right? Java knows only about the classes and methods. So you have to pretend that the code is just Java. So that is why we said gen class in the namespace, and we created that main method to comply with Java's requirement, right? And after you do this, then you say count and standalone. Yeah, you can run this, and then that will work. So going back to the code, this is the reason why we do gen class and why we create the main method, because without this, Java cannot identify the entry point, and hence it will not run as a command line app. Actually, any app, because it needs that entry point. I guess the snacks are ready, and whenever we need a break, we can just go and have it. Please let me know whenever we are ready for that. Okay, so the main method. Uh, so I forgot to change its docstring, but yeah, here we go. Uh, so the main function actually uh, expects several optional arguments. So it is like the Java's main method, where you accept an array of string tokens from the CLI. So in the same way, we map that to optional arguments here. So it is not really necessary for, for, for you to say that ampersand args a variadic kind. I mean, we are being most flexible here. You could also say that is the URL as argument, right? That was possible, but we did this because we we want to be most flexible, and I also wanted to demonstrate certain CLI capabilities. Okay. After that, um, I assume that you all at least know basic closure. You know. Okay. So ampersand means uh, uh, optional and variadic. An optional and an variadic means you could enter arguments of count 0 to unbounded. Like you could send 200 arguments, and that is okay. And zero arguments, and that's okay. It will be a list. Args becomes a list. So if you see here at this line, it says that of args, right? Uh, CLI is actually this www.c.cli as CLI. So we'll try to find that. So it is CLI.clj. Okay. So you can see that this namespace has multiple things. I'll explain one by one that what they are and what they do. So the function being called from there was CLI options. So we extract the CLI options that were entered at the command line. But against what? Against uh, which expectation? So that is what we have defined here. See, we are going to support certain options, right? CLI options, and there is a way to specify that whole set of options there. Uh, can I give you a small demo of how this thing looks like? And let me show you that. This is a bit cumbersome to have this. So this is the project where the actual source code exists. I'm just building the code so that I can run and show you. Yeah, it's done. So we'll say Java minus jar. So if we run this, it says that the errors are the missing web URL argument. The usage is Java minus jar jar options and the web URL. And options are optional, right? And the example is this answer. And there are also options. Like if we say minus f, then it will follow the redirect, the redirects. So let us say that your web that a certain link actually redirects you, and you want follow the redirects. Then there is an option flag, right? And if we need help, then we can say minus h or minus help. So if we do this jar minus help, then it will show us the same help text but without the error message, because there is no error here. We have set minus help, and that is perfectly legal, right? And if we can you tell any URL? HTTP will not work with Google, I think, but it will probably redirect it to HTTPS. Oh yeah, that's not a bad idea. google.com/what? Okay, I gave this. I'm not sure if this will work, but yeah, something happened. Yeah, so it did a couple of things. It did nothing. 3 words on that page.
Okay.
Right?
So your total tweet count is 3638.
There is no tweet count.
Not tweet count, sorry.
Word
Word count in the
page.
tweets.
On the web
Sorry.
page.
Yeah.
Okay. Now there might be some bug. I don't know. The exact number, but for certain definition of a count, that's a count. Okay. I could also say follow redirects, and that would probably redirect. So number is the same. That means it did not have to redirect.
Yeah.
But it should work if that happens. So that.